What's up, guys? This is What If Deku Was the Reincarnation of Broly? And please forgive me if the video isn't as good as you thought it was. So, we start off at 5-year-old Deku. They went to the court doctor to finally see what quirk Deku have, as Inko says. Doc, what is his quirk? Well, Miss Isashi, your son has a quirk called Berserk. Basically, he can get infinitely strong, but the more he uses it, the crazier and crazier he gets. And when it's deactivated, he'll go back to normal. As Inko started thinking, what use will this boy be to her husband? They come from a family of heroes, and if Deku is gonna go berserk every time he uses his abilities, why would they want him? As she reported to Hisashi, who was the number one hero, followed by All Might. And All Might does have All for One, but Hisashi just has an exceptional quirk, and I don't know what quirk to give him, so just leave it in the comments. So Hisashi said to her, I have no use for that child. He can't become a hero. If anything, he's gonna become a villain. He's gonna go berserk every time. Just bring him to an orphanage or something. He's my son after all. He will survive. They brought him to an orphanage and gave them $1 million to keep it under quiet because if anyone found out that Deku was the number one hero's son, it would be a lot of trouble. And plus, he had a powerful quirk. Isashi wasn't really a bad man. He was a businessman. He never did anything unless it had benefit to him. And Deku doesn't have any benefit. Deku was a little bit scared at first because he's a kid. His family just abandoned him. He found out that if he ever uses his quirk, he will go berserk. He still went to the same school to avoid suspicion by the paparazzi. When he arrived, Shoto Todoroki tapped on his shoulder. What's up, Deku? Did you find out what your quirk was? As Deku mumbled in Todo's ear, saying, well, I can't use my quirk. My quirk is called Berserk. If I ever used it, I would go crazy. As Shoto says, that's really sad, man. But look at the bright side. At least you don't have a reason to not use your quirk. Well, I'm just not using it because I hate my father. As Deku says, well, that makes the both of us. Todoroki didn't really understand why Deku would hate his father. Seems like a really good guy. And his hero name is... Wait, why should I name him Super Flash? Because he's a speedster. He's something like a speedster, not as fast as Flash though, but faster than All Might. When Todo figured out that Deku could use his quirk, he decided not to tell anyone. As let's do a 5-year time skip. Deku had changed schools as he finished going to the elementary school. He went to a new school, a primary school, to learn some things. And this is not a high-end school because Hisashi obviously stopped taking care of Deku as soon as he fell out of the media's eyes. He was known as Hisashi's only quirkless son. He went to a school with this kid called Bakugo. He made good friends with Bakugo until the day that Bakugo figured out that Deku didn't have a quirk. Deku being such a good person, not wanting to release the monster that they say is onto them, didn't say anything. Bakugo started to bully Deku over months and months, and on the final day, he finally snapped. He says, Bakugo! As he transforms into a green-ear muscular man. As he hits Bakugo straight through the building. If you were wondering, what did Bakugo do? Bakugo burned his diary, and he was bullying that day. and he found out that Deku wanted to go to this top institution, so he couldn't allow that. As Bakugo was saying, "Where did this power come from? My arm. What happened to my arm?" As his arm was dismantled, Deku jumping out of the building. Bakugo Katsuki. Bakugo. Bakugo. As Deku began to go crazy. He started to beat down on Bakugo as some pro heroes arrived on the scene saying, "Stop that thing! It's a monster!" As they attacked Deku, they had the order to aim to kill because they didn't know how far Deku was willing to go. As Deku looked around, all he saw was Bakugo. You know, like when Broly sees Goku, he says, "Kakarot! Kakarot!" That's how Deku is going. Until All Might arrives on the scene. All Might immediately attacks Deku, saying, "Detroit, smash!" Hitting Deku into a building. Deku looking back at All Might, slowly approaching him, laughing historically, saying, "Bakugo, Bakugo." As All Might looked at Deku and says, "Isn't this Flashy's kid?" As everyone started to think about it, isn't Flashy's kid quirkless? As Deku's father finally arrives on the scene, seeing Deku saying, "I know that he would become a monster, but not this much." As All Might looked at Deku's father saying, "How could this you hide this from us? What is your son's quirk? Tell us immediately." "Well, the more he uses power, the stronger he gets, and more insane he gets. So he can even surprise you in strength." All Might. All Might, realizing the desperate situation he's in, he immediately attacks Deku, saying, "All of you, help me. Let's knock him out before he gets even stronger." They started to fight Deku's. Deku started to deflect his hits, grabbing All Might's arm and breaking it. Endeavor releasing hellfire upon Deku. Deku just coughing at it, turning around. The only way they could knock him out is when they made a special elixir. It wasn't that fast. I wouldn't say special. Just tranquilizers that they use in polar bears or something. And they came up on Deku, stabbing him 5 times with 5 different needles as he finally fell to the ground. It was all over the media, even All For One saying, "This kid, he can prove to be useful, but how would I control him? He's basically a monster. And if I gave this power to any of my Nomus, would they turn against me also?" Everyone was wondering what would happen to this kid, as they decided to treat him like a S-class villain, because what else would they do to him? They put him in cuffs and sent him away to prison, even though Deku's father discarded him when he was young. He didn't want this for his son. He pleaded with them, saying that he didn't know what he was doing. He's just a kid. All Might looking back at him. "You could have prevented this, but no. You just had to hide your shame away from the world." Endeavor actually going up to Hisashi and punching him, saying, "He was a good kid. He should have never done that." Sashi feeling down, saying, "If I had just accepted my son, could I have prevented this? Could I have stopped this atrocity?" As Deku ended up going to prison, but don't worry, he was out in literally no time. They brought him out and decided to make some stress thing to help him keep his sanity. And that's basically our story. Until the next time, folks, this was Mr. Sentry.